allegedly assaulting a police officer in obstruction. And I was convicted with the assault part for grabbing the officer's wrist when I was coming to after being knocked out. That's why I was convicted of that. And the obstruction is just nonsense. So, hello, today is June 18th, 2020, and the time is 9:17 a.m. Just wanted to do a real brief video inspired by some comments to my videos as well as other places and private messages. And this has to do with the 7-year nonsense nightmare that I had to live through. And there seems to be maybe some misunderstanding or some confusion with regards to what this was all about. And I'm just going to very briefly skim over the story. There's other videos that go in a lot of detail with a lot of evidence to support what I'm saying. So this began for me December of 2012, a month after I had already resigned from this organization that I was working at. And it began as a false accusation by a female where she accused myself and a male co-worker of some sort of sexual assault. I don't even know what. All I ever had was a limited professional relationship with this female. And so I was just totally blindsided by this. And in fact, she was the one that told me about it. There was an officer who was speaking to her that day at the organization. And at the end of the day, we were walking out of the organization, and I'll never forget, she said that myself and this male co-worker are being accused of raping her, which I just remember being completely traumatized by all that. And no one wanted to speak to me about it. But anyway, that's how this whole thing started. Now I want to fast forward to May 4th, 2013, where two former officers decided to do street justice on our behalf. The one officer ended up sucker punching me through the window, knocking me out, and the other one put a gun to my head. They handcuffed me, beat me, leaving me with permanent injuries. So now I'm partly disabled for the rest of my life because of it. That same evening, the female had changed her story to say it wasn't her, but she heard rumors of it happening to someone else. So now these two former officers had me in the back of the police cube van, badly beaten, trying to figure out what to do with me. So the next day, I was arrested and charged for allegedly obstructing an officer, allegedly assaulting an officer, and resisting arrest, allegedly. And it took 44 or 49 months, I can't remember off the top of my head, for the trial to be concluded, that I was convicted and sentenced, which leads into a Section 11B charter argument to be tried within a reasonable time, which I attempted to bring up with the criminal trial judge as well as the appeal courts, and the appeal courts refused to make any ruling on that. So there's another thing that's wrong with the case. And I would like to also highlight the trial judge was very clear in his ruling to convict me that I was not convicted beyond a reasonable doubt. 3 or 4 times he was very clear about that, yet I'm still convicted. And there's so much wrong with that case. I don't even know where to begin. There's also independent sources that had come to me with independent evidence that the trial transcripts were tampered with. Something that I was saying for years. But now other people had come out and said, well, yeah, there's something going on here. And I was being questioned what was taken out, and I can't remember. Anyway, so these are three major examples of what was wrong with the case, and there's so much more. I was convicted even despite the two former officers' testimony that I was not aggressive, I was not violent, I was not verbally abusive, they had no injuries, that this whole event from their alleged perspective was a pretext, and I'm still convicted. So why was there a need for me to be convicted? Because the Crown prosecutor had brought up to the trial judge that I was suing. Now, that right in itself is another wrong with, or an injustice with the criminal trial case. Now, people have asked me, why didn't I wait until the criminal matter was over with? Well, I had to sue within the limitation period, which is 2 years. And the first time that I was scheduled to testify in my defense was weeks after the limitation period was to have expired. And if I didn't sue, I would have lost my opportunity to sue. So on the 11th hour, I filed the lawsuit. So anyway, and here I am today. The appeal courts didn't want to rule on the Section 11B charter argument to be tried within a reasonable time. And the Supreme Court of Canada ended up coming back to me saying they can't do anything unless there's a ruling. There's nothing for them to overturn. So that just kind of ended all that. And then I got pressured out of the lawsuit. And I ended up withdrawing it. And that ended December 24th, 2019. And this whole COVID nonsense shutting down the world really didn't help my situation. So anyway, just a quick recap, that I was never arrested or charged with anything to do with the female. Her life just continued on, like nothing happened. And in that wake, my life has been completely destroyed and other lives have been affected. And I was not convicted beyond a reasonable doubt. And there's so much more. Anyway, I hope that clarifies everything for everyone, answers some questions. There's a lot of videos. I know I have tons of videos about this, and it's hard for people to go through everything and remember everything. So I just wanted to do a real quick recap about all this. In the description box below, I'm going to leave a link to a PDF of screenshots of trial transcripts, and it speaks for itself. That PDF and previous versions of it, I had farmed out to countless of people everywhere. And everyone has come back on, yeah, you got screwed over large. So I'll leave that in the description box if you're interested. I also use those screenshots in another video. I'm going to put the link to that video above in the right-hand corner here. So if you want to watch that video, I talk more in detail about everything, how everything started to its conclusion. So feel free to watch that video. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.